All right, guys, if you've been following us in this series, right, our next order of business is going to be to install Restreamer, right, as one of the applications we're doing to get our Unraid server up and running. So for those of you that may not know, right, Restreamer is a application, or like you will say a Docker container, right, that you could stream to, like you'd use OBS or something, right, your favorite streaming, software, whatever, stream to that Restreamer Docker container, and then from there it could distribute that stream to multiple platforms in one go. So there's a few things we have to do in order to get it working. So first and foremost, right, so here's the Reastreamer, right, let's go ahead and hit install. All right, our goal, us in particular, right, if you're not planning on like using GPUs or whatever, right, you don't have to worry about it, but what we want is we want it to be able to use our NVIDIA GPUs. Okay, so first things first, and that is we have to actually get the right Reastreamer, right? So there is a particular tag you need to get, which is the NVIDIA CUDA one, right? So that's going to be this right here. Right, so you can go ahead, grab this. You don't have to worry about privileged unless you're planning on like using devices like physically on the Unraid server. And then of course, like I haven't had a reason to need to use this, so I don't know, maybe you might need to, maybe not, but yeah, so let's go ahead and add that repository. So cuda-latest, right, we need that. And then right here is we need to add this here. So the runtime NVIDIA GPUs, all right, the runtime for the NVIDIA, then GPUs all, right, that'll sit there and that'll give the container full access to the GPUs. And I want to say that is actually almost about it. There's one more thing, and that is the ports. Okay, now us in particular, we use SRT. SRT is the 6000 ports, UDP. Okay, if you're using RTMP, right, or RTMPS, then you need these ports. You need 1935, and for the S1 you need 1936. Okay, and those are just regular ports, right? SRT is the only one that it has to be they use UDP. Okay, so we're going to just simply do that. I'm gonna just I'll show you how to do both, just so at least you get it. Let's see, so we'll do port, right? First thing I'm gonna do is RTMP, right? We use SRT, but I'll just go ahead and get that set up just for you, so you guys see it. So it's 1935 and 1936, right? So 1935, throwing this on here. Sorry about that. All right, 1935, right? So yeah, this is going to be a simple RTMP port. Right, we'll go ahead and add the other one, which is the RTMPS port, which is the 1936. So 1936, right? We know that the container port, right, is the port inside the Docker container that is listening for, and then the host port is the port physically on the device, right, that you want to link it to. So go ahead and add that. All right, and again, right, if you're not planning on using these two, then you don't need it. Most people do. Me, I use SRT because SRT is better from my my understanding thus far. All right, so here we go. So SRT, so 6000, right, 6000, and don't forget this must be UDP. All right, and there we go. All right, everything else is good. We're gonna go ahead. Oh, and then one last thing is the password. So for whatever reason, like if you're installing this, like if you're installing the default one, you don't have to worry about it. It'll just automatically like sign you in. But for whatever reason, when you're using this CUDA one, it's going to ask you for the username and password. So make sure you actually set that to something that you actually know and going to remember. All right, so that's done. And yeah, see, it says install because we not installed that one. We installed the CUDA one. All right, there we go. It's running. So let's go ahead now. Let's jump into the web UI. And okay, cool. It actually, sometimes it does not do this. Sometimes it'll ask you to put in admin and password. It's probably because I had it before. All right, video setup. So first and foremost, first thing we need to do, I'll actually it'll just probably be easier to go there. Let's say if you set on our RTMP, set it up, but let's say we do SRT, it's going to ask you to enable it. What we're going to do first is we're going to jump over here to network. All right. This is going to have your public IP address on there. You don't want that, right? You want either, I always tell people, right? Easiest is the host names, right? If you set up your device and your network to give like specific host names, it makes your life a lot easier, I promise you, or the IP address. And me, so I'm going to give it the host name. Now, me in particular, my setup is a bit different. So you're going to see me put multiple host names, and that's just because it can get any one of these because I have 3 Ethernet cards as failovers. So sometimes like they can and you know, obviously they have different MAC addresses. So in order for me to know which card is actively being used, that's how I named it. But anyway, I give it that, and then I will also go ahead and give it the IP address that I know I have it on a network. Man, it's just really hard to type these days. All right, but there we go. Okay, so that we'll save that. I'll just go ahead and restart it. All right, and now for the SRT, right? And then, you know, the token, you can, so this is optional as far as getting it working, but obviously, like, you know, this allows for encryption, so that's what we're going to do. So we'll just go ahead and do that. It's probably like more important on the encryption side if you're going to like stream like over the internet, like to your device. But we're not doing that, but I'm still going to give it a token and passcode anyway. So you can go ahead and do that real quick. All right, and we're going to save this. You don't necessarily have to remember because the software will generate when it generates the URL for you to use, it will automatically have that in there. So here goes. And as you can see, right, here it is, comes pre-filled. So I'm going to copy that, and what I'm going to do now is, because I'm using OBS to record, I am going to launch another instance, and we're going to go ahead and do the stream. So let me bring it over here. Come on. And man, messing you guys' eyes there. But all right, scene collection, let's do just rock a sandbox real quick here. Yeah, that's fine. And throw it in the sandbox. All right, cool. So what you're going to do now is go ahead, jump into settings. You're going to go ahead and jump into stream. All right, and I have it moved to the side just because like I said, don't want to show the token and passcode. But all right, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna paste that in the server bar, right? Again, like I said, this is just unique to me because of my unique setup. You probably don't have to do this, me, because I'm using the second one right now. And then that's it. You're done, right? You can just go ahead, hit enter. You know, apply, okay, whatever, right? And that's it. And then when we start streaming, it should work. All right, and it started streaming. Cool. All right. Like I say, one of the most common things why like this would fail is just because it cannot reach the Docker container. Okay, so you need to make sure that, you know, if you're using the host name is correct, if you're using the IP address that it's correct, right? You don't have to open no ports on the router, right? That port opening on the router is only for like internet. If you're accessing it from the internet, all right? You don't have to open up no ports. You just need to make sure the ports in the Docker container are specified properly. So it's streaming, all right? So you gotta remember to hit refresh here, right? And there we go. We see it. All right. So we got the stream selected. So now we're gonna go ahead and hit next. It's gonna probe the stream data so it can get all the settings it needs properly, right? All right. And I wonder what that's about. It's a streaming. I don't know why it's not getting a resolution at all, but okay, I guess we'll see how that works. Just go ahead and go through, hit next. All right, now let's wait and see if it comes up. Okay, and it does come up. I guess it's just like maybe like a slight bug or something. But yeah, see, there we go. It's up and going. Now, how do I know that this is going to be using the this does indeed have access to the GPU? There's a couple of ways I can go about this. I can try it in adding a platform that I want to stream to. I can check the encodings available, and as you can see here, so like if it wasn't accessing the Nvidia GPUs, you would only get the lib x264 and the memory one. You wouldn't get NVEX. So that tells me that it's it does access them properly. What I'm going to do though is since we're already here, is I just want to do one more quick thing so I can know for sure that it is using those GPUs. So I'm gonna go ahead and probe it real fast. I'm gonna show you two ways that you can make absolute sure. All right, so here's the probe details codec. All right, I want to go ahead and I'm gonna use the NVEC codec. Right. Obviously you want to leave this as pass through, right? Because you only want to do, if you're gonna do hardware encoding, you want to do it for when you're actually like sending the streams to the other platforms. You don't want to sit there and have it convert the stream as receiving using the hardware encoder and then use the hardware encoder to then send it back, unless maybe they have a pass-through. They probably have a pass-through, so I guess you could do it either way, but like it'd be much better you just like let it take in like whatever it is you're streaming to it, and then you use the hardware encoding on the platforms. So with that being said, let us go ahead and it should be this one right here. I tried using this one, it didn't work. I might have something maybe misconfigured or whatever, but yeah, we're gonna do that. 264. Obviously we're doing 30 frames is what I believe this is going at. Yeah, 30 frames, and I'm not gonna mess with any of that. I just want to see that it is doing it like it's supposed to. So we're going to finish. I'm going to connect. Check process details, right? Because if you start seeing errors, then that means that there's a problem. And as you can see, we're originally seeing a lot of errors, but now it's working. It looks like it's working just fine. So I'll go here and I do see it working just fine. All right, now I'm gonna come over here and I do see some activity on my Nvidia GPU. That's the first way I already know out the gate. The next way is if you just run Nvidia SMI, you need to look for FMM I believe is what it is, right? That's like the application thing that it uses. So I'm gonna go here in my terminal, do Nvidia the SMI. Right, so here's just showing you the GPUs you have, right? And then I'm looking here, right here, right? That tells me that it is using the GPUs to do some work. So there you go. That's it. There's not really much else for me to really show you guys. Like, setting the stuff up is kind of self-explanatory. You got to work with your setup on how decent you want the stuff to be. Like I said, see, like there's a pass-through. Maybe it might be easier for you to actually do a hard encoding on the receiving signal and then pass through that to the other ones. Since I have platforms that support different resolutions and stuff, like it's just easier for me to pass through to the server and then pass through to the platforms that support the higher resolution and use the hardware encoder to reduce it however I want it to be. So with that being said, yeah, see, so you can go here and then you'll be able to actually set up, so if you need to change the size, whatever, right? So you can stream 4K on one platform and then regular 1080p on the other. But that's it. So we're done. So thank you guys for watching, and just stay tuned for the next one we'll get started on doing.